Building a client success department, we'll divide that into 3 sections, which is hiring the right people, creating the right processes, and making sure they follow the process and the process gets better with time. So who should build all of this? Well, if you have the money, there are some really great agencies and people that can help you with hiring, consulting, things like that. And you will not really regret getting an expert who's really obsessed with it, or hiring a client success director who can own that function. And you can start with hiring like a junior customer success or a full-on customer success manager. Or after that, hire a support person. Almost always those first 2 roles are you either start with customer support and then do a CSM, or the reverse. Next is organization structure as you scale. Once you get 3 to 5 CSMs, you're going to start to want to identify a leader slowly to take over the CSM management. So they can start as reviewing few calls per week and start doing half of the calendars for the appointments, get less assigned clients, but also do some of the QA and training of the team. Once you get 8 to 10 CSMs under the manager, pick one manager and they can be a client success director and the other one will be a lead. So basically then you have 2 pots of those types of people. You'd have to be doing a really good revenue for that to warrant it. Most likely you also have back-end offers. Different types of client success roles. So you have customer support, which is emails, follow-ups, billings, and in general systems. And then you have account managers, so CSMs. Next, you can have service providers. You are high service company, which is maybe the media buyers, maybe the editors, people like that. Or the 4th system is coaches, sometimes part-time. If your business can't afford somebody who is an expert that's doing it full-time, it's really amazing also model to do it. Career progression in the client success department. This is how it would be completely built out, but basically it's a junior customer support, customer support lead, junior client success manager, is senior client success manager, CSM manager, and then director of client success. Then that's at the top of it. And the ranges differ from the businesses, but customer support can make anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000, and a CSM can make anywhere between $3,000 all the way up to $10,000. And then the managers can make $8,000 to $15,000 depending on the bonuses and how you want to structure your back-end referrals, and director of client success makes $15,000 to $25,000 OTEs. For simplicity's sake, we're going to talk mostly about customer support and CSM departments. We'll touch briefly on the management layer later. If you have a big company, you can add levels to the client success, level 1, level 2, level 3, with the same base but different bonus tiers, to incentivize people to progress with that over time. Each promotion takes 1 to 3 years. The higher you go, the harder it is. And really avoid the principle when you promote someone to the level of their incompetence. And how to actually hire a client success team? Well, number 1 is describe accurately who are you hiring for. Create an application that asks the right question, not waste time on applicants that will never get hired anyways, and get enough applicants to see the differences between them, to train your judgment, and then pick the right people. So number 1, which arguably is the most important, so describe your job accurately. What are you looking for? Understanding of the industry. How I think about it is I want an understanding of the industry, someone who solved the problem, and their thinking process is strong around that. They understand the job, so not only they know the industry, but they understand client success. And then ideally they know about our company before we contact them. That would make somebody 10 out of 10. And additional things that we look at is long-term potential and work ethic. And are they willing to work longer and harder to get the job done? Next, we actually structure their application. We look at their time zone, their experience. We look at maybe their proof of work, like their client interviews or feedbacks or things around that. I really like adding 2-minute Loom videos on why would we hire them, or asking them something specific about the CS job or about the role that we're hiring them. For example, if we're hiring a CSM that will consult people on how to improve their Facebook ads, we can ask them, how would you do something in Facebook Ads Manager, right? And it should be under 2 minutes. Nice, concise answer, and that will tell us so much about the person. And I basically never had somebody who really did badly on that video and then turned out to be a great hire. The correlation between that video and actually good hire, bad hire, advancing somebody in the process or not, is very, very high. Next step is getting a lot of applicants. We want to make sure that we're picking the employees, not just like employees are picking our company. We want to have options, right? Because a lot of the times when I look at the times when I really made the hiring mistakes, it was because one, I needed that person more than they needed me, and two, I was in a rush. So where to find them? Referrals are truly the best. Most of the teams I have built, we try to create a great, strong culture on the insides. So we hired most of our team members from referrals. And good people know good people. And you want to make sure that you're accepting the referrals from good team members. Because if they're not the best team members, they're most likely going to refer all their team members that are not the best. A lot of the times clients provide good CSMs. Some of your team members can refer good team members or friends in the industry, of course. If they haven't hired a person for themselves or they don't need it, that's another great place to look for them. If you have the money, second best is working with a CSM agency to place you some of them. A lot of those people have experience, you can pick few, it's really a good experience. However, you have to still know what you're looking for, because a lot of the times they're just looking to get their commission or their compensation. They don't really fit that role well and they just want to get the job done. So really understand what are you really looking for and what are you definitely not looking for. Niche hiring sites are great. Like if you're teaching something very specific, niche hiring sites are way better than any like LinkedIn or big hiring websites. Next is LinkedIn outreach. You want to be primarily poaching them from people from competitors that have less discipline. Quite frankly, their management team is just not as good. So now you have applicants. How do you actually interview them? If you want the interview structures, agreements, everything else, click the link below and get everything to your email. So depending on the size of your company, you might have like 2, 3, or even 3 interviews. So if you're just one person making all the decisions, I would recommend just having one interview and giving yourself like kind of a time to maybe watch it later, show it to somebody else, but not having multiple interviews just to like shorten the time. So more if you have multiple decision makers. So everything that you need to cover, depending how many interviews you have, that's everything. So some form of an opening, some form of like showing that you've done the research. And I like to ask them like, how much do you know about the company? Because somebody doesn't know about a company, like I never had somebody who didn't do the research and then did well the interview. So I can cut the interviews relatively quick. Next is double check the resume. Ask them to walk you through their experience and how they solve the problems. And that is on the first interview. So you just ask like, hey, you worked on this, how did it go? If their CV, if their resume doesn't tell you that already, if it does, then you want to ask for exact numbers and things that they did that contributed to the outcomes. You do multiple interviews, well, that's where I would carry the first interview. And usually those interviews will be done by a person that will be managing that person. If that's you, well, that's you. If you have CSM manager, well, that will be the person, right? Then difficult conversation and test question will be next one. So for example, well, tell me about the time where you had this, like the client needed a refund. Where did you respond, right? They wanted a refund because they weren't happy with X, Y, and Z. Next one is industry-specific questions or skills questions, as they call it. For example, how would you scale a testing campaign? Or how would you media buying in this and this situation? That will be a pretty easy test, but for somebody that doesn't have an idea, well, that will be a pretty important question to ask. Next is I like to ask people for their motivation, like why they're applying for this job other than just the money. Next is I ask for their schedule, especially CSMs are a lot of the times international. So you want to make sure that it aligns with their schedule. Sometimes we hire from Europe for US roles or vice versa. So you want to make sure that it actually aligns with what they would want their lifestyle look like. And the CSM roles are very meanings-based. What that means is if they have a family, if they can't really take as many meetings from home, it will have an impact on their lifestyle, which a lot of the times, like we had people quit or not be as happy with the job because of that. A lot of the times at this stage, we ask for salary negotiation and expectations. I can record a whole video about it, but basically in the job description, they will have a general idea what are the ranges, and we want to propose something that would make sense based on the level of experience. We can negotiate back and forth. If we negotiate something, we want to create a deal. For example, if you do very well in that position, we can add another bonus. We can structure the bonuses so it would make sense. If that's a little bit outside of your budget, but you really want a candidate, and you want to, again, align incentives. And you can ask them for referrals. Next one will be ask for references. Especially if you like the candidate and if you're serious about potentially hiring them, we always want to ask for references. There's a reason big companies do it, because it really works. I had a story when I hired someone and the role didn't really work out, and then I asked for like their references after they got the job, and then they told me that he was like a bottom performer. He was saying that like he was talking all the big game, but like he wasn't really doing as well with the job in front of him. Next is ask their questions. If they don't have any questions, well, that's not the best. A lot of the times, good people will have options, will have questions, will ask you about the process on how you do things. So really not something to overlook. Not a red flag, but it can really add to their application as it currently stands. And if they ask a really great question, like an in-depth question, well, that adds to their application. Then as I say them to, hey, next steps. Next steps from here are X, Y, and Z. Either they send me some form of application. What I really like is them sending me some proof of work, some form of showing that they're passionate about something. And good applicants will have something, either their previous work or some like type of a proposal for this job. I want for them to have enough creativity, have enough initiative to think through what that could be and apply with that. And I like to do a deadline for those, so both parties kind of know the expectations. So one is the deadline on the actual decision or the application for the client. So let's say next steps here will be sending me this proof of work, sending like this company a proposal, or it basically will make a decision by Friday, or send over me that application by tomorrow. I like to do like 24 hours or less to send that over. If it's something short, they already have it, just ask them for that. What are you looking for on the interview, except of the basics that we cover already? So are they on time? Will they talk specific numbers, right? If they don't, well, that's not the best. Did they mention the type of clients or the actual clients that they work with? And are they mentioning the actual responsibilities, or they have like surface level claims that don't really mean much? So, and I really don't try to sell people on the job, which I know it's kind of counterintuitive, and a lot of people pitch them pretty hard. But in this type of job, this is not an easy job. This is not something that people will just kind of be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna do if I don't have anything else to do, because it's a very heavy meetings based and it requires a lot of self-discipline to do this job well. So I kind of unsell that role. Just I'm very upfront and very honest how it is, and people they're still excited, then they usually do well in the actual job. Last tip I have on that is I really like finding the people who are better than our current company, or they worked at companies that are a little bit bigger than ours, so we can pick their brain on how the other ones operate. But we don't want to hire people from like big companies. Like you have somebody who works on the team with like 700 people. You don't really want that, because they forget how to operate at like the granular level, or the structure at that level of the company is just too big and they're not really used to it, and there will be a lot of unlearning that will happen. So really be careful with that. That's it for this video. Now you know how to write good job descriptions, get enough candidates, and what to look for good ones. Next, we'll talk about creating a customer success process.